DHCP server. We have two options to assign IP address to host, that is manually or configuring it automatically. Now, when in a large network, if you try to assign IP address manually, that it can lead us to some mistakes. We can use multiple IP addresses to the same machine. We can use same IP to the multiple machine. We can repeat IP addresses, and we can also waste some IP addresses, because manually assigning the IP address, that means it is what, like a permanent IP address. So if we have we have information that we have assigned some IP address to some machine, and if that machine goes corrupt, we throw the machine out, but it's still in our records that we have already given the IP to someone, so we will not use that IP, and in that case it can be wasted. So for all these problems, we have a solution, is what? DHCP server. DHCP means what? Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. And this is for configuring host machine IP address and IP information. This protocol assigns IP address to all the machines which request for IP address automatically. And it provides IP address, information about the IP address, DNS server, and also gateway, and also domain information. And also DHCP assign IP address to machines, and also DHCP assign IP addresses on lease basis. So on lease basis, and that will not waste any IP. Any IP address, because if some IP addresses are not in use, so they will be reused after the lease period. So they can be reused after the lease period. And that is the benefit of using DHCP server in our network for assigning IP address information. Now, this DHCP server gives IP to all machines, whether it is Windows, whether it is Linux or Windows. So we can say it gives IP address to all the devices. Now, DHCP server uses DORA. It uses what? DORA process. It uses DORA process to assign IP addresses to host. Now what is this DORA process? DORA process is like, this is D for discovery, offer, request and acknowledgement. What happened here? Now this is the DORA process. DORA process do what? It is used to assign IP address to the client. Now what happened first? When we put client on automatic IP address, so we have option on every machine that we have to we can assign IP address manually, or we can use an option to set IP address automatically. Now when we select automatic IP address on client, so what client do? Client start sending the DHCP request packet. It starts sending DHCP request packets to all the machines in a network. It will do broadcast. It will send this on broadcast and it will send it to all the machines within the network. So DHCP discover packets goes to all the machine. Discover, D is for this DORA. From DORA, D is for discover. So client starts sending the discover packet to all the machines within the network. Now all the machines, normal machines will not respond with this. Only DHCP server will respond. So why only DHCP server responds? Because this is the packet for DHCP and this is what DHCP discover, and client uses it on port number 67. Remember, DHCP server has two ports. This protocol uses two ports, 67 and 68. So 67 is for the server. When the client sends the request to server side, it sends on port number 67, and when server sends the reply to the clients, that will send on 68, port number 68. So it sends the request to all the machines in the network, and it is broadcast request. So it goes on to everyone, but nobody will reply. Only this server, DHCP server, will reply, because DHCP server is listening on that, and it is listening on that port number 67 and of the protocol DHCP. Now DHCP server will do what? It will respond with the offer. So DHCP server will respond with the offer. Now offer means it will respond with the offer of the IP address. So we create the range of IP address. We configure the range of IP address for allocating. So we configure DHCP server for the range of IP addresses which we want to allocate to different clients. So within those range, if any IP is available on those range which is not given to anyone, so DHCP server will do what? It will respond of this DHCP discover packet. In response, it will send the offer of that IP address to the client. Now this offer goes directly to the client because it uses the MAC address of the client. So it uses the MAC address of the client. Remember, the discover packet does not have any information about the server. So because of that, it goes broadcast. But in client side also there is no IP address because it is not assigned. So client uses its own MAC address as a source, and for destination it uses the broadcast MAC address. So it goes to everyone. Now server reply with this offer of the IP address that it says you want to use this IP, and it sends this offer to directly client for this with the using that MAC address. Now client machine do what? It will accept the offer and it will say what? It will request. It will send the request to server, and it will send the request for the server for that. Okay, I want to use this IP address. Then server will do what? Server will send the acknowledgement. It will send the acknowledgement packet. It is what? A. So D is for DORA. From D is it discover, O for offer, R for request, and A for acknowledgement. It sends the acknowledgement packet and it says that you can use this IP address. Now acknowledgement means what? Server do note in its database that this IP address has given to this machine this MAC address. There is no machine information there. There is a MAC address of the machine, so it uses the MAC address as an information in the database. It says that this IP is given to this MAC address machine, and it is given for this time period. Whatever the lease period we configured, it will give for that lease period to that machine. And with the client gets the acknowledgement, and client do what? It start applying that IP to itself and it using that IP. In this case, if sometime we human make mistake of using the IP which is we have assigned manually in the range of the IP address we assign in DHCP. Suppose I have already assigned some IP address manually, but I have mistakenly used that IP within the range of available allocated IPs we have configured on DHCP. So that is mistake configured by us. Now in this case, what happened? If suppose DHCP server give offer of that IP address to client which is already used in a network manually, we have configured it manually and we have mistakenly given that IP to assign to allocate to DHCP server. So if that happens, so what happens when client start to apply that IP, then what happens? It will see that IP conflict. So whenever you try to assign same IP in two machines in the same network, it will give you error of IP conflict. And what happened? Both machines will not able to assign the IP address. Now in this case, the IP address is manually assigned, so that manually will not change, but the IP which is given to this machine as a DHCP server, so what this client will do, it will send the request, it will send the decline packet to DHCP server saying that this IP I am not able to use because it is already used in a network. So now what this DHCP server do, it will correct our mistake and it will do what? It will put that IP as a bad IP, and that IP it will never use again for any client, and it will offer the other IP to this client, and that client will use that other IP. So it can fix our problem or our mistake also, that if we have used the IP and we have assigned that IP, we have allocated the IP again on DHCP server. So if it detects that, then it will put that IP in bad IPs and it will never assign those IP to any client anymore. Then it gives IP address only on some lease time which we can configure. There is a default time, but we can change that time also, and only that period IPs will be available to these clients. Now when the IP period for that IP lease time is expired, then this DHCP server will send the information to release. So it will send the release packet to this client's DHCP release, and it do what? It send DHCP release, and that client will do what? It will release the IP and then it will send the request again, and then it will assign it will offer the other IP. If that IP is available, then it will assign the same IP to the client, and if that IP is not available, then it will use the other IP to the client. So when the client is using IP address from DHCP, so sometime it can change. Now this is the DHCP process, DORA process we have in DHCP. Configuring DHCP server. For configuring DHCP server or any server we want to configure in our Linux machine, first we have to fulfill the requirement of packages. So whatever the packages required to configure that server, we have to install it first. Now first we need a package, and that package we need is DHCP. So the package name is DHCP. This package we need, and this we have to install. So first we will check the package whether it is already installed or not, and for that we will use rpm-ql, and then we will search DHCP start, or we can say search DHCP, not QL. We can go for QA star also, so that it will show you all the packages which is installed with this name starting with DHCP. So if it is installed, or we can use if we have already installed yum server, so we can go for yum list and DHCP start. So first check. Now if it is not installed, then install it. So for installing, what we'll do, we'll use RPM if we have not configured yum server with the path of the package and then the package name, or if we have already configured the DHCP server, yum server, then we can use yum install command. Yum install DHCP start. So let's check in our machine we have the package available or not, and if it is not there, then we will install it. So first I will check. I have configured the yum server, so I will check with yum DHCP star. Okay, so it is saying that it is already installed package is DHCP common and DHCP libs, but the main package is not installed, that is DHCP. So I'm going to install this package. This is the main package we have and it is not installed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the command yum install and DHCP, and I'm saying yes, I want to install it. And there is no dependencies for this package, so you can easily install with the RPM also. Now after installing this, first we should see what are the important files we have for the DHCP server. First we will check what are the important files, and for that I will run command for ql. So it will show all the files which comes with this package. So these are the all files. Now in this, under etc we have all the configuration files. Now in this is the main configuration file we have. This is the main configuration file for IPv4, and in case if you want to configure for IPv6, then this is the file for configuring the IPv6 also. Then we have a service, and this is the service for our DHCP server, dhcpd.service, and also this is for IPv6 service. Then we have some command DHCP, then we have the documentations related to the configuration files and other files, sample files. Then we have some man pages also, and then we have this lease directory where we have the lease information. So this is the file for the information about the lease. That means when DHCP server assign IP address to any machine, so the information it will store in this file, that all the lease information, that which server, which machine has this, which IP address it has already assigned. So it will keep that information here in this file. This is for IPv4 and this is for IPv6. So these are the important files we have. So these are the important files we have for DHCP, IPv4, IPv6 configuration file. These are the services file for IPv4 and 6. These are lease files. All the lease information will be stored in these files for IPv4 and IPv6 both. Now after installing, now we can configure DHCP server, and for that we will add the information about the IP addresses which we want to configure in the main configuration file. And for that, what we will do here, we will open the configuration file. So first we will open main configuration. file, and for that we use command. We can use any tool. I'm using vim. Under etc the file is dhcp. We can see here dhcp and then dhcpd.conf. Under dhcp directory dhcpd.conf. Now after that, add all IP addresses info. Now info means that is like what are the range, what is the range you want to assign the IP address, what will be your, what is your DNS server IP address, what is your gateway IP address, what is the domain name, and also how much time you want to give for the lease and all that. So all these information we will add it into the file and then we will save it. Now how we can add these informations, let's see. So I'm going to open the main configuration file first, dhcp under dhcpd.conf. Now when you open this file, it is an empty file. Now in this file we don't have anything. First we have to create all these things. Now if you want to see how we can create this, then you can see this sample file. It is showing you the sample file path, example file path, which comes with the package, and it is under USR shared document where all the documentations files are there. There is one file also there, that is what the sample file. So we can check this sample file, so how I can configure this. And also if you want to see more detail, then you can go to this man page of dhcpd.conf file. So we can check the man page also for the more configuration information, or we can see the sample file also. So if you want to see the sample file, let me show you the sample file also. That is under, or we can take the path from here, USR shared document. Okay, so it is under USR share doc DHCP, and then you will see the version of DHCP. So I'll go for 4 and then dhcpd.conf.example, and here is the sample file which is for DHCP, and you can use the same configuration also, and with the all comments also there. So we have some informations here, like first it is showing option domain name, it is defining the domain name here, then it is defining again the domain name server here, that means your DNS server. Then this is what the lease time, this is also lease time, default and maximum lease time. Now these options which is here, these are for all supported networks. It is saying this is for all supported networks. That means what? We can create DHCP server for multiple different networks. For example, if your server is connected to different networks, then we can create we can create pool of DHCP IP addresses for different networks. That means, for example, now suppose this is our DHCP server. Now it can connect to multiple different networks also. Maybe we have done subnetting for different networks and we are using, say, a single DHCP server for all those different networks. So if suppose we have one network here in this side, we have one network in this side, and we can also have suppose other networks. Now for that, to use it for different networks, we have to add these different interfaces to DHCP server. So one interface will be connected to one network, then other network interface will connect to other network, and the other interface will connect to other network. And then suppose this network is network 10. So this interface of the server will also have the IP address of the same network. If this network is network 20, so this will also be the same network IP here on this interface. If this suppose is 30, so it can also have a same IP address on this interface. So we can create DHCP pool for IP address of this network 10. We can create another pool for IP addresses of this network 20. We can create other pool also for having an IP addresses of network 30. That means pool of IP address, that means the IP addresses which we want to allocate to the clients. So if any clients from this network ask for IP address to DHCP server, so it will be assigned the 10 network IP address here, which we have given into the pool. Suppose I have given the IP addresses range for the 10 network is 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.254. So whatever machine asks for here from this network, it will get the IP address in between those range of IP address which I have allocated. So it can have multiple different pools for different networks. Now how the server will identify the request is for 10, 20 or 30 network. It is based on the interface. That means if the request comes from this interface, so DHCP server knows that this request is for this network 10. So it will use that pool which is configured for network 10. Remember, all the pool information will configure on the same configuration file. So it will be differentiated by these different interfaces IP addresses. So if the request comes from this interface, so DHCP server knows that the request is for this network and it will use that pool for this network. If request come from this interface, so DHCP server knows that the information is coming from this interface, that means it is for this network. And if the information is coming from this interface, so it will say that okay, it is information from this interface, that means this is for network 30. Now that first two informations like domain name and DNS server and lease time, you can configure same for all these different networks. So if we have a common DNS server or domain name for all these different networks of us, so we can use that option for all these different networks we have. So they can have same DNS server and domain name, and also we can configure same lease time for all these different networks. This is not compulsory. This is what if we have a scenario like this, where we have a common DNS server for all and we want to use common lease time for all. So that option we can put there in separately. Other than that, all the other options will be enclosed in the domain info, in the pool information. For example, I will show you the configuration file. So these informations is not in the pool information, it is outside the pool information. Pool informations are like this. It will be like this. Pool informations like this. It is starting from the subnet range, then curly bracket open and close, and in this you will put your options like this. It is for some other range. It is the basic range declaration. This is for this network and this is the range, and you see the options are starting from here, curly bracket open and curly bracket close. Here it is closing. This is one subnet information. This is all samples because it is an example file. We don't have to have these all options here. This is for one subnet. It is doing this is the subnet information here. Then it is saying this is the range for the subnet, and this is the other information like router information. This is our router address. This is another example of the subnet, like this is the subnet information, then all the options are in this brackets, curly bracket. For example, the range, then we have the broadcast address option, then we have router option. There is another sample here. In this sample we have all the informations, like we have a subnet here, that this is our subnet, and then this is the range. This is going to be the range of IP address we want to give. Then you have domain name server, DNS server information also available in the same range, and this is what domain name also there, router address, broadcast address, lease time also in the same subnet information. And see, it is under the subnet. You can see it is opening here, and it is closing here. So same as this, we can have multiple pool for different subnets, and these options are outside of those options, pool options. That means this will apply for all which is not having the pool information. That means if some pool options does not have domain information, for example this one, it is not having any domain information and pool lease information, so it is going to use this global information. And the one which has explicitly the information, it will not use this global information. So this is like a global information for all the subnets, all the networks. So if we like to have like this, then we can have this. Otherwise we can add separately in every subnet information, we can add separately these information like this. We can add separately to all the subnet information, we can add like this. Then this option is for logging. It is defining here the log facility. Who is the log facility? So log facility, it is using what? Local 7, and all the local 7 messages are logged into boot.log file under the var log. So if it is defined here, so by default it is the log facility. So all the messages for the DHCP server will go to boot.log file. We can change it, and we can change the behavior from here also, but by default it is going to be logged into all the logs of this. It is going to be under the boot.log. So this is the sample file. So if you like to use this same kind of configuration, then you can use it under the main configuration file. You can use this same configurations. So what you can do here, you can use the configurations from here, or you can go for more information to dhcp d.conf main file. You can use main file for this configuration, and you can see in detail those options which you can configure, and the samples also there, how you can configure the samples subnet informations. So we will create a simple, I will create only one, like I will create only for one subnet. Okay, so you see the configuration sample file, then you see the man page. Now you can configure your configuration file according to that. So I don't need all those different subnets here. I need only one subnet. So I copied the file from the sample file. I copied this sample subnet information here. So what I will do, I will change it according to my subnet. So for log facility, I am going to use this local 7. Now the subnet information, first you have to add the subnet information. Here you will add the network information. What is your network? So my network is 192.168.1.0. This is my network, and then my network subnet mask is default. I don't have any subnetting, so this is my subnet mask. Remember, here you have to give the network address with the default subnet mask, or if you have done the subnetting, then your subnetted network address and subnetted subnet mask. Now after the curly brackets, your options will start here. Now here you will mention what the range you want to assign. So the range which I want to assign is 192.168.1.20 to 192.168.1.254. This is the range I want to give to everyone. Now here you have to mention the domain name server, your DNS server IP address. You can even mention the name also, but I will mention IP address here. So my DNS server is 192.168.1.12. This is my DNS server. Now here you will mention your domain name. So my domain name is example.com. Then here you will mention the broadcast address for your network. So 192.168.255. This is going to be the broadcast address. By default it is the broadcast. Okay, no, this is router, sorry. So my router address will be 1. This is my router address, and this will be my broadcast address. So the broadcast address for my network is 1.255. So router address, DNS server address, domain name, lease time, and then broadcast address. Now here we will give the lease time. Now lease time is 2. It is showing 2 times here, default lease time and maximum lease time. Now it is in seconds. Now why it is having two lease times, default and maximum? So basically the default time is the time which you want to give for every user, every client. 600 seconds, this is the default time I want to assign. Now what is maximum time? Maximum time is the extra time you want to give to your host for getting the IP address from DHCP server. For example, if suppose after 600 seconds your host needs to get the IP address from DHCP server. Now in case at that time if the server is not available, maybe the network is down, or maybe the server is not working, or it is not running. So what the host will do after the lease time, if the host try to connect the DHCP server, now if the server is not there, so what the client will do? Now in case if it is a Windows client, then Windows client do what? They will use APIPA address. They will assign their own APIPA address. But that is only on Windows machine. In Linux machine, we don't have any APIPA concept. So what happen in Linux machine? They will go on without IP, and they will remove the current IP, and there is no IP address available in that machine. And when the IP address is not there, so most of the things will stop working. So this thing should not happen. For that we have maximum lease time also. So after 600, every client, every host try to connect the DHCP server to get the IP address, and if in case the server is not available, they will not remove the IP address until the maximum lease time. Maximum lease time is 7200 seconds, and for that time it will keep the IP address and keep trying the server to get the IP address. It will keep try to connect the server and keep trying till 7200 seconds, and after that, even if the server is not available, then it will remove the IP address. So this is 2 times we have here, default and maximum. So the default is the time which we want to assign the host, and maximum is the extra time we want to give. So it is in seconds, so we can change it according to our requirement. I'm going with the default. Now this is the configuration we have to do, and after that we can save the configuration file. So after saving the configuration file, we are ready to start the server, and we start the server by starting the service. And also make it persistence to run after reboot also. So for that, what we'll do, we will run command system ctl start dhcpd dot service, and if the service starts without any problem, that means our configurations are correct, and for make it persistent, we will do enable the service also, dhcpd dot service. So if the service starts properly without any error, That means our configurations are done properly. And if it is not, that means we are having a problem. We have done something wrong in the configuration file. Now let's see. I will start the service. First I should check the service whether it is running or not running, or what is it is properly loaded or not. So DHCPD, so it is loaded properly but it is not running, it is dead, and also it is disabled. So what I will do, I will do system ctl start DHCPD. It is started, and then I will make it enable also, and then I will check the status. So it is running properly, that means no error. Some of the thing it is saying here that no subnet declaration for this interface. Now this is the logical interface we have, virtual bridge interface, which is having this IP, and it is only saying that we have not defined any subnet for this interface. So this interface will remain not working. Now here it is saying that listening on this interface, this MAC address, sending this and receiving, sending this packet for this. So started the DHCP server, it is working now. Now our DHCP server working, we can check it is listening or not. Now remember, it works on UDP, it does not work on TCP, so that clients can get and have the IP address very quickly. So it uses UDP port 67 and 68, and 67 is for the server side and 68 for the client side. So when you check the port open in server side, you will see 67 is open for DHCP, because it is listening on the 67, so that client will send the request on 67 and client will receive on the packet, receive the offers on 68. So clients will listen on 68, port number 68. So now what I will do, you check UDP, and UDP port number 67, it is here. We can see the 67 port number, and it is listening, and this is what DHCP. We can even grab the port to verify. There is port number 67, and we can see it is there, and it is listening for all IPs. So it is listening from anyone who can send, who wants to get the IP address. So now we can go to the client machine and we can set the client on DHCP, and the client will get the IP address from here. So let's see that. So this is our client machine. Now we can set it on DHCP by using the graphical option we have. Here we have a graphical option to configure. We can go for wired setting, and we can configure this interface, and we can go for this, and we can change it to DHCP. Right now it is manually configured, we can change it, or we can change it from NMTUI also. We can go for NMTUI, edit connection. I want to edit this connection, and this is the connection, and I can put it on here. I can select automatic, or we can do it by using NMCLI command. We can configure it by NMCLI command. So NMCLI, I will use NMCLI command, NMCLI connection modify for the interface, and for the IPv4 I will directly configure method to auto. So when you configured manually, then we configured method to manual. Now when I want to configure it to auto, I will configure it method to auto, and then I will say connection up to update, connection up for this. Now it is getting the IP address, or we can do systemctl restart the network service, network manager service. Now we can check nmcli device show and information, and now we can see it is getting which IP address. It is getting this IP address, and you can see it is getting what, the gateway. It is getting the IP address 20, and it is getting it from DHCP. It is getting 20, then it is getting this 192.168 is a gateway. You can see it is getting the DNS server also. This is the domain name, so it is getting it from DHCP server. Now we can verify from the server that which client gets the IP address, and we can verify from the lease file. So the lease file is under where lib DHCP D, and under that we have DHCP D.lease, and when you check this file you will see that who gets the IP address. So we can see here the lease is this IP, and it is started from this till this, and binding is still active, and this is what the next binding is free. The rebinding is also free, that it can bind. This is the MAC address of that machine, and this is the name of that machine, that is client, and this is the IP it has given. Now it is showing 2 times here. Why it is showing 2 times? Because first time when I do nmcli connection up, so it gets this IP, and then when I done nmcli connect, when I run systemctl network manager restart service, then it will get this IP again. So it gets the same IP again because the IP was free. IP was 192.168 1.20. So it was the IP, and it got this IP from this DHCP server. So now we have configured the DHCP server, and it is working, and client is getting IP address from here. The IP address which client gets is the first IP which is available. So in the pool we have the first IP available is what? We can see that IP is this, because it is starting from 20. So this is the first IP which is available, and that is what it is getting, and the client is getting that first IP. So we can check. So it got this first IP here. Now we can do one more thing. We can use fixed IP address for some host. So in case we have some machine which is, we don't want to change IP address, because DHCP can do what? It can change. But if the IP, when the IP's lease period is expired, so the client will ask for IP again, and if that IP is available, it will be given the same IP. But if that IP is not available, then it can give different IP. In that case, IPs can change. So if we want some machine should not have a different IP every time, we want that machine should get a same IP every time, then we can do fixed IP for any machine also. So remember the DORA process. When client asks for the IP address, they send the MAC address to the server. So we can do what? We can map the MAC address with some IP address. So the server, whenever any client with that MAC address asks for the DHCP IP, so the DHCP will do what? It will give the fixed IP to that server. So we can do that in the configuration file. So in the configuration file we can add this option here for fixed IP addresses, and we can use these options here. Let me enable this. I have added already this option. I am just enabling those options here. So host, Fantasia, whatever, here you have to add the MAC address of that client which you want to give the IP address. So IP address I want to give to the client. So first I have to get the MAC address of that client. So what I will do, I can get the MAC address of that client from the lease file. So I can go to the lease file and I can see this is the MAC address of that client. So I will copy this MAC address, and then in the configuration file here for the hardware address, I am removing this sample MAC address here, and I am adding that MAC address of the client. And here you will add the IP address which you want to give. So I want to give 192.168.1.35. I want to give this IP address to that host. So whenever the host with this MAC address asks for IP address, it will give this IP address to the machine. Now what? I will restart the service again for updating my changes. And now when we check the client, right now it is getting this IP address. Now again I will restart the service here, and then we will check the IP address what it gets. And now we can see it is getting this IP address which we have fixed. So whenever this machine asks for the IP address, it will always get this IP address. And this is how we can fix the IP address for some machines. So this is our DHCP server, and this is how we can configure it on Linux machine. The working of DHCP server is same because it's a standard protocol, so it works same as in Windows machine, same as in Linux machine. Configuration way is different. So we have seen how we can configure it and how we can manage it on Linux machine.